Hey guys, welcome to episode 3 of The Great Divide. I'm Bryson, this is Trevor,
What up?
and we're going to go over a few things that we found in Colorado news this week and then kind of continue our conversation on USAID and some of the other things that Doge is uncovering or plans to uncover in
Fort
the near
Knox,
future.
baby.
uh, some
Funny.
interesting news on the Fort Knox situation. It hasn't been audited since the 1950s or 70s or something like that. Quite a long time, so we'll get into that as well. But first off, wanted to look at a new bill that just cleared the Senate on gun control. I know this is a very controversial topic. We pretty much started the gun problems in Colorado at Columbine High School. I was pretty young when that happened, but I do remember it well. And it was very scary. And so there are definitely opposing views on this. And I, in my opinion, they're both valid.
Mm.
You know, Columbine was a scary thing.
Oh yeah,
Do you remember that?
the movie theater was the other
The
thing.
movie theater,
Yeah,
the all the different school shootings. Um,
I mean,
Definitely,
I have kids I have a kid in kindergarten. I can't imagine somebody walked into my kid's elementary school with a gun.
that'd be horrible, man.
Mm.
That there's no way.
I would hear it from here.
Yeah, you would.
Like I would be running into the fire.
Yeah,
Like,
and nobody would be able to stop you. And so the parents that are for the gun control bill, I get it. I totally get it. I feel like that's there's no lengths I wouldn't go to stop that from happening to
yeah,
someone else because I can imagine the loss and the just feeling of hopelessness that those parents faced. Man, that's horrible. So I have mixed feelings on it too. I think that you know taking away people's gun rights is not the answer, and making it safer is. But as we were just talking about a few minutes ago, the people that are going to be committing these crimes aren't necessarily going to be buying guns from a gun store anyway.
yeah.
So, you know,
This is really going to be all about the new gun legislation. What we're talking about is Senate Bill 25-3, talking about the ban of many semi-automatic firearms with detachable magazines.
yeah,
And so this is essentially what they're saying here is you walk into a gun store, you buy a Glock,
which
and
has a detachable magazine.
detachable magazine, semi-automatic weapon. That gun is banned even as you buy it. However, the bill includes exemptions for people who go complete a safety course. So you are still selling that person the gun, but they have to go complete a safety course to actually receive the gun. Um, so
So we don't know how long the safety course is. We don't know, um, what really that entails. Um, you know, um, I think that's actually good. I think that anybody that has a gun should be able to safely use it.
sure,
And so I think that's actually a good thing on the surface. I don't know the ins and outs of it, so let's kind of dive into that a little bit and see um, what that is.
I don't know how much that's going to actually restrict anybody from going to shoot up a school either.
Well, again, and we were talking about this too. Is that retroactive? So does that mean anybody that has that already?
Yeah, already has a
Is that,
semi-automatic gun.
yeah, or if somebody's uh, intent is to kill people and more than one people, they could just go to Wyoming, or they could just go on the black market. Um, I think that where there's a will, there's a way, and those aren't going to be the best ways, but it's not going to stop. Like, this is really just making it harder for honest people to get a firearm for their house.
It just includes an extra step.
And I'm sure there's money that,
Oh, it's nothing's free.
right. So the class is going to cost money. And again, I'm actually for safety.
Yeah.
So I think that that's good. But I don't think that it's going to achieve the goals that this legislation um, is intending, in my opinion. So what does it say there?
The bill would have outlawed the sale, purchase, and transfer of guns that accept detachable magazines in an effort to enforce Colorado's existing ban on large capacity magazines, defined as magazines with over 15 rounds of ammunition. While not an outright ban on so called assault weapons, the bill would have stopped the sale of the most common semi automatic rifles and handguns. Opponents argued that it would decimate the firearm industry in Colorado. I'm not sure that it would actually decimate the firearm industry in Colorado, because you could still just go get safety training and still buy the gun. But I think the previous process is you go into a gun store, you like a gun, you buy a gun. There's a 3-day background check waiting. So
Which I've heard. I haven't bought a gun, so I don't know. But
I don't know
I've
either.
heard that it's doesn't take 3 days.
Oh, maybe not.
So I have some friends and family that have gone through that process, and
Okay.
it can actually, in some cases, be the same day. I think, but I could be wrong about that.
Could be.
Um, Either way, we have had some really tragic events happen because of people with large round capacity guns, and that's
Oh,
this is definitely an effort to stop that. I don't know if it will though.
here's a good stat. There's 550 million firearms out there in the hands of law abiding, responsible gun owners, and we don't have to worry about them taking any action in our communities. What we are worried about is the new owners who all of a sudden just walk down the street. And after we pass this, and starting in September, the only assault style weapons they can get are going to have attached magazines to it.
That's
Hmm.
conflicting. That doesn't make sense.
Hmm. I don't know.
I don't know. I've actually done a lot of reading on assault style weapons, and like, for instance, an AR-15, I think, is the one that comes up a lot. And let's just make this clear. I don't have one of those, so I don't know a ton about them, but I do. It's basically just like a 9 millimeter, right? That has a longer barrel.
Mm-hmm.
So
All right, so here it is. All right, the new carved out approved. The new carve out approved on Friday, however, creates a pathway for Coloradans to obtain the type of guns targeted in the bill. First, a purchaser would need to be vetted by the county sheriff in a process that would be similar to requiring when a person seeks a concealed carry permit. Then, if they already completed the hunter safety course from Colorado Parks and Wildlife, which people must do to get a hunting license in the state, they would need an additional 4-hour basic firearm safety course. If a person did not already have their hunter safety certification, they would need to complete an extended course of 12 hours of in-person training over 2 days. So there's a significant amount of training.
yeah, I wonder how much that costs.
I have no idea. This course would need to include safe handling, storage, child safety information about gun deaths associated with mental illness and Colorado red flag law. A person would then need to score at least a 90% on the exam after the course in order to qualify for the exemption. That exemption would be valid for 5 years, and a person would need to take a refresher course at that point if they wanted to buy additional firearms with detachable magazines. Interesting. Sure, it's a small thing to get a little bit of education to get a firearm, but it's a big thing to turn your back on your rights as a citizen. 10 states require purchasers to have safety training before buying certain firearms, according to Everytown for Gun Safety. Washington, for example, has a required training to purchase any semi-automatic rifle since July of 2019. Republicans also argue that the amendment changed the bill too much and it should be sent back to committee for consideration. The bill passed the Senate State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee in January on a 3-2 vote, and with the 2 Republican members voting against it. So Republicans don't like this, and I take it Democrats do. They offered amendments to exempt certain demographics from the bill, such as domestic violence survivors and veterans. Those amendments all failed. They're aimed at about 40 of the most common semi-automatic rifles used for hunting and some relic firearms.
So the first 2 amendments in our Constitution are you have the right to speak your mind.
That's a good one.
Right? So freedom of speech.
That's why we're here.
And that's exactly why we're here. And the second one is the right to bear arms. And the reason that they put that in the Constitution was to for citizens to be able to protect themselves against tyranny of tyrannical government. And this is a government bill saying no. And that's true. So, I mean, it's going to get to the point, and a person that's for it, they're going to say, okay, you're going to keep going until we can't even have slingshots or a revolver, or like they're just going to keep pushing it until there's no guns, right?
Small steps.
And the people that are for this legislation, they're saying, okay, enough people have died. We don't need guns around, and so they'll just keep pushing it until, I'm sure they don't think that this is enough.
I'm sure it's never enough. It never is enough, right?
Yeah.
That's how.
And the people that are opposed to this, it's like, okay, guns don't kill people. People kill people. So there's definitely a huge problem with mental health, and if you don't fix that problem, it doesn't matter if you don't have guns. They're just going to throw a vase at you, or TV or whatever they have, right? If somebody's mentally unstable, it doesn't matter what you take away from them, they'll find a way.
Right.
So I don't know. This is definitely controversial. This is definitely has valid points on both sides of it. But I feel like this isn't something that's gonna. I don't think this bill is gonna fix the problem that it's intended to fix.
No, I don't think this is going to stop school shootings or the movie theater shooting or anything along those lines. It's just going to add an extra step in for normal guys that want to go buy a gun.
Yeah, so if you want to go get a gun, you go through all these steps, then you're automatically going to be a first-degree murderer, right? Because you really put in the effort and you took the training class and you did all the things. But again, there is a black market on these things. So 100% is. Even if you have all these law-abiding citizens and this works to stop honest people from breaking the law, we already have stuff in place for that.
Yeah.
So if somebody's going to be hell-bent on on killing someone, killing another person, they'll find a way.
Yeah, this isn't going to do.
And so what I was getting at earlier is like, okay, cars don't kill people. People in cars kill people. You can't ban cars. You
Right.
can't say only cars that have pedals on them. That's just not a car anymore. Uh, then that's not going to fix car deaths. You know,
Yeah, I just don't see this doing really anything.
I don't either.
Yeah, I'm wondering how much we should call Doge, because I'm wondering how much tax dollars are spent on this to not be impactful.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned Columbine. That was the first school shooting that I know
That might
of.
have been the first big one in the nation, right?
I think it was.
I think so.
And again, I remember that I was a teenager when that happened,
Yeah.
and it was really scary and sad. And you know, there's been documentaries on that, and
Hmm.
I would urge you to look into that. I think the parents didn't have any idea that their kids had. I'm not trying to blame it on the parents, but like for me, if I have my kid acting crazy, I'm gonna go in their room and figure out what they were into.
I think the parents. I think they're starting to charge parents with this kind of stuff, right?
I don't know.
If your kid goes, I think there's a Louisiana dad that's in jail now or something. That the kid did something along these lines, and now the dad is charged, and now he's in jail also. I think they're starting to charge parents.
Yeah, man. With the access that these kids have these days to technology and how easy it could be for um, any type of predator, it could be sexual or whatever. I mean, you have that guy that tried to shoot Trump, right? Uh, and they don't know anything about him. He didn't even have silverware at his house.
That's
So, like,
that was
you
yeah.
know, where was his parents on that? Maybe he lived alone. I don't know.
No, that was all
So,
done by the government.
yeah,
Let's
well,
just
that's,
go ahead and say it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Here's the AI overview. Yes, in certain circumstances, parents can face legal consequences if their child commits a school shooting, particularly if there's an evidence of neglect or failure to take action regarding warning signs or access to the weapons used in the crime. As seen in the recent case of parents in the Oxford High School shooter who were convicted of involuntary manslaughter for not properly securing the gun used in the shooting.
Interesting.
Yeah, so the kid takes the gun from the parents, goes shoots up the school, parents get in trouble. Well, you shouldn't make your guns accessible to your kids anyway. That's just dumb shit.
All right,
Anyway.
let's go back to when I was a kid.
All right.
My brother was fucking around with his friends, and we had this really long hill. Like going to school in the morning was really fun because you rode down it, but then
Okay.
you had to ride back up at the end of the day.
Gotcha.
So we would mess around and we would, take our time walking up that hill. We wouldn't just power through it.
Mm.
And there was this one house that had tons of rocks. Right, it kind of had a built-up ledge, and you could hide behind the bushes and whatever. And I wasn't there that day, but apparently my brother and his friends started throwing rocks at cars
Oh,
while they're driving up or down that hill.
gotcha.
And, they made contact a few times.
Yeah, with the
right?
car.
And so I don't remember. I was pretty young when this happened, but it was my brother got in trouble. And, if the insurance didn't take care of it, again, this was so long ago, I don't remember every detail, but, you know, then my parents would have been responsible for that person's window or car
Yeah.
being damaged by my brother, you know? And so I don't see why, I mean, my parents didn't know my brother was throwing rocks at
Right.
cars. That's,
It totally happened to me. We lived in an apartment complex in Seattle. It wasn't the same thing. We're throwing rocks at cars, but me and a buddy, we were in the back of the apartment complex on the last road, which is where we lived. And there's one line of cars on this side parked in their parking spots, and then the other side was like a rock wall, right? And we would stand there and throw a baseball back and forth in our gloves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just tossing it back and forth. And, as boys do, we get farther and farther apart, right? Throw it farther and farther. I threw a ball. It went through a car window. My dad paid for the car window.
Yeah.
That happens,
Yeah.
right?
You
Obviously,
do
I
have
couldn't.
to.
I was like 10.
I mean, if you have a minor child, and you're, even if they're doing something dumb and you didn't raise them that way and you didn't teach them to do stuff like that, you are kind of inadvertently responsible for
Yeah.
what your kids do.
The buck stops there.
And kids do dumb shit.
Yeah.
So, what do somebody has to be responsible for it.
Yeah, for sure.
10 or 12-year-old kid isn't going to have money to fix a window.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
So-
And it was a complete accident.
Of course.
It wasn't like I was trying to.
Well, my brother's wasn't.
Yeah, right. But
But yeah,
the bottom line is parents are still responsible for what their kids do. That's how it works.
and so, yeah, that sucks. That's a really tough lesson for everyone involved. I mean, how does that play out? Now the parents are going to be in jail and can't even raise the kid right.
Yeah.
Now they go to the state and they're under the
Yeah.
state's authority and they're going to get caught up in the system. And then now, they don't even really that's a really hard lesson for the whole everyone involved.
Right.
So that sucks.
That
I don't know
definitely
if
sucks.
that's the right way to handle it, to give a parent second-degree murder charges. But I don't know.
I don't think it's right to give parents second-degree murder charges. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe some negligent charges, something like that. Lock up your guns. Do that.
Yeah, I think that's really the first step. If you're, sorry to cut you off, but
No,
if you're gonna be a gun owner, you have to make sure that there's no ability for someone else to misuse your firearm.
Yeah, for sure.
Also,
I think there are signs along the way that your kid is going to go shoot up a school.
There has to be.
Let's just get to the reality. It's not like your kid just one day wakes up and decides, I'm going to go take your gun and then go shoot up a school. There has to be some things going on along the way
that lead up to that.
A parent that's not negligent, that's not absent, should know and should see, and talk it out. Right? That's very, very odd.
I feel like any situation, and we could take guns out of it, be like, okay, your kid has a problem with eating candy too much, right?
Sure.
Eventually, you're going to see some wrappers laying around.
Right? Some added weight.
You're gonna see a few zits on their face, or
Sure.
You're gonna be like, oh, "What are you eating?
Yeah, right.
What are you? How come there's wrappers in the couch cushions? Why or under your bed or something like that? I mean, there's definitely gonna be some kind of sign.
Yeah.
And you, as a parent, that's your responsibility to see those. Your kid better than anyone, maybe even they more than they know themselves. So, you should
know
be
your
like,
kid more better than
hey,
they
buddy,
know
why
themselves."
are you wearing a trench coat all of a sudden? Carrying a rifle thing to school. What's that?
The trench coat thing probably wasn't all of a sudden, but there were probably steps that led up to the kid starting to wear trench coats. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to allow your kid to have, express himself. That's one thing, but it's a different jump to where your kid is taking a gun to school and shooting up a high school.
It definitely is.
There's some signs,
but
along the way.
Okay,
right?
So say the first sign is your kid's being an asshole. If you're like, I wonder why he's being an asshole. Most parents are going to be like, they're a teenager, right?
It's nothing. They're a teenager.
They're a teenager. That's
Sure.
how teenagers act.
Sure.
In my mind, it's like, hey, did I do something to you?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Hey,
Let's talk.
about-
Let's have dinner. I'm going to cook dinner.
How
What
about
do you
don't
like?
be an asshole? I'm just going to keep telling my kid right up.
Let's just stop being an asshole.
Don't be an asshole.
Yeah. Let's.
that doesn't make the world a better place in any form.
Or how about they're like, I don't want you to go in my room. Okay, well, guess what?
It's
now, as soon as you leave for fucking school, I'm going in your room.
Oh, I'm going in it while you're there. I'm the parent. This is my house.
This is my house.
We're going to go through all this together, and you're going to answer for whatever's in your room.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
afraid of my kids.
Oh, of course not.
That's
You
for
shouldn't be.
damn sure.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So anyway, but there's more than one way to skin a cat, and I think that at the very minimum, you should be like, even if you are afraid of your kids and whatever, like, okay, go in your kid's room and find out what the hell they're into. Is every video game a shooting game, or is every, like, do they have weapons in their room? Do they have a dead cat? Do they have, like, what's going on? Know your kids. All right, so
there's a major problem if you're afraid of your kids. You fucked up somewhere along the way.
Well, exactly.
This all stems from how you raised them.
It doesn't always fall on negligence either.
No.
There's another story that I just saw on Instagram. It was a lady talking about a young girl that had started a relationship with her teacher.
Yeah.
We heard about that in the news.
Also here in Colorado.
Back in the 90s.
Right.
Also, I don't think it was Colorado, but it was a young boy that was having a relationship with his pretty
teacher,
female teacher.
Mm-hmm.
They ended up having kids and getting married, and I think the woman actually died. I don't remember her name, but most people are going to know about that. Mm-hmm. I think. But this actually happened in Colorado, and
this one that you're about to talk about.
Yeah. So the school or the teacher itself, I'm not sure, but had filled out paperwork saying that the student child was homeless, and the mom had gone through the kid's room after the kid left and realized that I found some things about her being homeless or filing paperwork that she was homeless, and then also, like, in her diary, there were things saying how she kissed her teacher and blah blah blah. Then after the kid turned 18, she moved out of state with the teacher and is currently still in a relationship with the teacher in another state. And I don't feel like that's, I mean, I don't know, maybe it is, but it seems like that's not really negligence. That's the school and teacher and everyone conspiring to get what they want. And with all of our,
it was Columbine.
I know it was Columbine.
Oh shit!
It was Columbine.
Same school. I think we're done with Columbine.
Yeah, I'm not sending my kids to Columbine.
I think we need to shut that shit down. Yeah. Jefferson County School District is apologizing to the parents of a Columbine High School student after school officials helped the student lie on a federal form and then hide it from her parents so she could move in with the teacher.
Yeah. I don't know. When does it say that happened?
Well, this story came out February 13th.
Oh, so this is definitely recent.
Yeah. 2025. Jefferson County School District is apologizing to the parents of a Columbine High School student after school officials helped the student lie on a federal form and then hide it from her parents so she could move in with the teacher. According to the investigators hired by the district, the student, a 17-year-old female, was involved in an inappropriate relationship with the social studies teacher, Leanne Kearney. They say Kearney was grooming the girl. Heather McCormick is friends with the girl's mom and says there were red flags long before the district hired investigators. Oh, red flags?
Red flags, those do happen.
Oh, those do happen, but we just ignore them. There's this icky feeling that something is wrong, as it progressed, it only got worse. Not a single person stood up and said something doesn't seem right and reached out to the parents. Instead, the school emails obtained through an open records request show counselors purposefully kept the parents in the dark while they helped their daughter declare herself homeless so she could move in with the teacher. I'm homeschooling. Yep.
Dude, this was a school officials conspiring to make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so you can't tell me that all this LGBTQ stuff isn't conspired by teachers and school officials at these schools. Like I that's what feels off to me. Like I've said this for years. Like this did not come from people's homes. This, and I'm not talking shit to gay people. I'm not saying whatever. You're gonna be who you're gonna be. But don't you feel like it's like taking away the choice for these kids when they're already confused, already vulnerable, already like not sure who they're going to be, and then you have this safe space at school and they're telling you, no, you're definitely gay, you're definitely this, you're definitely that. Oh, you want to kiss? And now, oh, you know how we could get out of this? And I don't know the girl's name, I don't know if it's in this article, but it's like,
Probably not. She's 17.
yeah, so it's like, okay, you're 17, so you're not old enough to be in this article, but you're old enough to conspire with your teachers, and the teachers knowingly
Oh, the
making,
principal knew about it.
yeah.
Oh,
And I believe the mom even reached out to the school and they brushed it over like it was nothing.
Yeah. While counselors helped the girl fill out the form, they say Columbine principal Scott Christie also knew about the girl's plans and didn't tell the parents. McCormick, the mother, says the mom was cleaning the daughter's room when she stumbled upon a homeless document along with a letter describing the daughter kissing Kearney. She then uncovered thousands of calls and texts between the two. That's hot.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I just imagine if that was your kid. Like you're you're like, okay, let's send my kid to school while I'm working, and then all of a sudden this whole plan gets set up for you to lose your kid and all like
I have some major issues with public school already,
I do too.
right? There was in my previous relationship a from 8 to 18-year-old, her son that I used to pick up and drop off at school all the time, and every day I would ask, "What did you learn at school today?" Every day the exact same answer. I don't know. I don't remember. Now I skip forward to now, have a 5-year-old who's in kindergarten. Granted, it's kindergarten and he's 5, but he's not like he's definitely not a dumb kid. In fact, he scores pretty high according to their tests. But I pick him up from school as well, and every day I ask him, "What did you learn in school?" I don't know. I don't know that they're actually teaching kids anything, and
Yeah.
nothing's being retained clearly. So really, I think we've gotten to the point in society we're just using public school as a daycare, and it's pretty pathetic.
Or an indoctrination camp.
That as well, right? Yeah,
I mean, if you have teachers and school officials conspiring together with a 17-year-old girl
yeah,
to navigate a way to get out of their home,
right.
which I don't know what's going on in that house. We don't know that,
No,
but it sounds like there's not abuse or
right.
neglect. Maybe there is. I don't know, but either way, uh, no other steps were taking. That they just said, okay, I think the best way to do this is to file some paperwork saying that you're homeless, and then you can come live with me and be in a completely inappropriate relationship. Like, what the fuck, man?
She told investigators that she sent Kearney, the teacher, this is the mom, told investigators she sent Kearney a message warning her to stop contacting her daughter, and then showed the principal all the calls and texts. She said he dismissed them, telling her Miss Kearney takes interest in helping kids navigate their sexuality. What the fuck?
Shouldn't you be teaching social studies?
Yeah, I guess that is social study in high school now. McCormick says school officials would have reacted differently had Kearney been a male teacher. She quit, but it would take 2 years and pressure from the mom before she lost her teaching license. Wow. And then McCormick says her friend lost far more. When the daughter turned 18, she moved out of state with the teacher. It's really scary to think that there are schools and teachers and administrators that are working behind your back and not in the best interest of your child. I'm going to homeschool next year.
Dude,
Like, this is ridiculous. Imagine if this wasn't at a public school too. This is at a private school that I paid for. Like, oh my gosh.
either way, regardless, they're in a position of trust,
Yeah.
and not just for I guess it's for the best interest of the student always, but that's not in the best interest of the student at all.
It seems like there might not have been a bad home life. The mom is actively trying to push for, I don't know.
Yeah, mom is like actually like, hey, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
One of the mom's friends is like, no, there were signs of this, red flags ahead of this, and nobody would listen to her.
Mm.
This is the most inappropriate bullshit I've ever.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
insanity.
I know there's been other inappropriate things too that we don't hear about, but this is like right in our own backyard.
Right.
This is real time. Like,
it seems like the principal was completely fine with this and knew about this the entire time too. Why is he still a principal at this school?
Yeah, like, okay, just on its face, right? Teacher goes into principal's office and says, hey, I have this student. She's 16, 17 years old,
Mm.
and I'm having sexual feelings for her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's normal. Like, how do you respond to that? Is there any place in anybody's mind that thinks that conversation should have been anything less than you're fired,
Yeah.
and we will have a restraining order placed on you,
And you're never
for this
working
kid.
in school
And you're
education
no
again.
longer, yes.
Yeah.
Like that is inappropriate. That is overstepping your role as a teacher and somebody that should be in a trusted position to guide that child and make her understand that that's inappropriate behavior.
Maybe this guy was part of the Diddy ring.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, you think about it, like there's more and more stuff coming out
Yeah.
about all these people of power or influence that are fucking little kids. Like, what is going on here? What is really going on here?
Diddy's attorney just resigned.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Yeah, he just resigned. He said there's just I can't defend this.
Yeah, I don't doubt it at all. Did you see the stuff that I might have sent it to you today about the Epstein and the Epstein list in Israel and all this stuff that's coming out?
No.
So think about the last name Epstein.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty Jewish to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Turns out this guy was an informant, right? And it wasn't for the US. So take this scenario down. You got a guy with a plane and an island, and you have all these politicians in US government, right, that are coming out on this list that go to this island that have with kids.
Yeah.
And this guy, Epstein, sends the videos to Israel. And then Israel has blackmail on all of these US government people. And why is it that we are so down for Israel?
Oh my God.
Why is it that we are so down for Israel?
What the
We
fuck?
spend more money on Israel than we did on Ukraine.
Yeah. Yeah. And we will not back away from that. No
No.
matter what they do.
No.
And by we, I don't mean me and you.
Right.
I mean our US government that
Right.
we are elected
Yeah.
officials.
Like, that's the one thing we're not allowed to talk about is Israel. That's the one thing all of these people don't talk about is Israel. Why is that? That's some weird, like, that just blew my mind when I watched that video.
Oh my
Like,
God.
I'm like, That makes a lot of fucking sense.
Yeah.
Holy shit. So there are like legitimate politicians, people, big names, we know them all, that have been out to the Epstein Island, right? On the list. Why are they not releasing this list? What's going on here?
Yeah.
It's because these people are being blackmailed by Israel and we're sending them money. I'll say it. I don't give a shit.
And just full disclosure, we're not suicidal. I
Nope.
believe we've said that before.
Yep.
We're going to say it again.
We are not suicidal. Okay?
We're not accident prone people.
I didn't slice my wrist in a bathtub. I don't do drugs, so I didn't overdose on anything.
You have a 2-story house.
Yeah, 2 stories, not a 10-story building. I'm not looking to jump off. All right? Just letting everybody know.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
That throws a different perspective on stuff, doesn't it?
So I was having a conversation earlier today about, I believe that Trump was our best option. I don't think that, we've said this before. I don't want a brain chip. I don't want to buy a Tesla. I don't want to buy any electric car. I don't like, I don't, I don't subscribe to everything that Trump is doing, has done, or will do. It's just, I'm going to use my brain, right?
Yeah.
Um,
In the words of Reagan, trust but verify.
Right. But, I think that, whatever he does, it's not going to translate into helping our daily lives for a while at best.
Probably for a while.
At best.
Right.
Right.
Probably for a while.
Like the price
unless
of
he
eggs,
decides to send us all $5,000 checks after Doge finds all this money.
I mean, that actually has come out, and I believe we talked about this last week where we were like, okay, how is this going to help? Doge did come out and say, we're going to put
They're thinking about it.
They're thinking about putting $40 billion back into every taxpayer and dispersing it equally.
Mhm.
I think that would be great. I think that's a good move, but who knows? I'm just a little.
The thing I wonder
nothing
about
person.
that is, though, it's not like when we looked last week about all these contracts, right? We looked at what the contract was for and then how much money was saved, right? So it's not like a contract's $100 billion. It's not like we just write a check for $100 billion and give it to them, right? It's not like we're taking $40 billion back from that, right? So it's saved money that we're not going to continue to write the check for, right?
Yeah, so we shouldn't necessarily get it back in our pocket.
Yeah. So we haven't exactly spent the money yet, and we're not getting the money back that we already spent. It's not like we can just go be like, I want a refund.
Hey, I'm going to need that back now.
Yeah, I want a refund. Okay. Hey, Zelensky, can you just send that back? What up?
Well, and a lot of it was also sent in other forms. Weapons.
Right. Yeah. I'm just using Zelensky as an example, right? There's plenty of contracts out there that are for crazy shit, right?
Yeah.
We're not getting the money back from the transgender theater that they did, or
Venezuela.
whatever, right? So I don't know where this $40 billion would come from, if it's just money not spent yet, right?
Yeah, it's not really going to help us.
Yeah, they're shutting down these agencies and NGOs and contracts and all this kind of stuff to not receive more money in the future, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly where they think this money's going to come from, but we also know, due to COVID, that we just print money out of nowhere for no reason now. So maybe we're just going to print off $40 billion out of nowhere and then just send it to taxpayers. That could happen too, which that helps with inflation, doesn't it? No, it doesn't.
Well, let's transition from that into our money is based on the gold reserves.
Oh yeah,
that we have.
Let's talk about old Noxy 40.
All right. So
I don't think there's anything there.
They even had that on South Park.
Yeah,
it's gone.
It's just disappeared.
It's just gone.
Yeah, what's going on here?
And we don't know that. So,
but we were taking off the gold reserve, right? The gold standard.
We were taken off of that.
So really,
in fact, I read it's not backed by anything but an idea.
Yeah, and I even read an article today that they say that the 9,500 tons of gold that's in there, The government valuates it at 11.5 billion.
Yeah.
If you sold it on the open market, it would be worth 900 billion.
Right.
There's a little discrepancy there.
Big
right?
discrepancy.
So, and they say that the taxpayer, or like the American people, own that gold, right? I want my cut. If I own it, can I just have it back?
Yeah.
Right? I don't
We're
know.
all millionaires.
I feel like this whole Fort Knox thing and the gold is just all bullshit anyway.
It might be, but I watched a documentary from, I think it was the 70s. Some senator, didn't we talk about this last week?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
They went in and they opened one door,
right.
and they weren't allowed to walk in
Right.
or touch anything.
Yeah.
So you just had a camera outside of this very dark, like, door into this room, and you could see things. We don't even know if that was actually gold. Pure. We don't know the purity of it.
No.
We don't know how much is actually there in weight. We don't know anything. And I think that regardless of what's there, who's in control of it, if we're on the gold standard or not, any of that, if it belongs to the United States,
Yeah.
there should be an audit.
Right.
I mean, how many times has the Pentagon failed an audit?
Sure.
All of the times.
All of them.
All
Right.
of the times they have failed the audit. So if this is in any way backing up our currency, or in any way kind of our rainy day fund, or whatever it is, right? We should be able to audit it, and I think that that's definitely something that should happen.
So it says the last significant audit was in September of 1974. A congressional delegation and members of the press were allowed to view the gold reserves at Fort Knox. This was a rare departure from the base's strict no visitor policy. The U.S. General Accounting Office and the Department of Treasury conducted an official audit after the visit. In 2017, the vaults were opened to non-authorized personnel for the first time since 1974. This visit included Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin, and congressional representatives. In February of 2025, President Trump announced plans to audit Fort Knox's gold reserves. The announcement came after pressure from Elon Musk, who criticized the lack of an annual audit. Here's my question. Let's say Elon goes in and finds empty rooms. What does that change?
Well, it's gonna make the whole rest of the world know that we don't have anything. Did you ever watch Game of Thrones?
I haven't watched the whole thing all the way through.
All right, so I don't know what season it is, season 3 or whatever. Who knows? But Khaleesi, which is the dragon queen or whatever, queen of dragons, she is in this city, and it's beautiful, and they don't let any bad things in there. And this character, he's like a king, or he's a higher up, in the show, and in this castle area or whatever. And he's like, I'm the richest man here, blah, blah, blah. Well, Khaleesi, and so everyone treats him like the richest person. Everyone like looks up to him. He has, authority over decisions that are made and all this stuff. And Khaleesi gets some kind of idea that he's lying. So he forces him to open this vault where all this supposed money is. Well, of course, it's empty. So she locks him inside, keeps the only key with somebody else that was conspiring that worked for Khaleesi. So anyway, it was interesting. It's like, now you just have an idea. You don't actually have the money. You don't have anything.
Yeah.
You're just telling people what you have. So that's how the rest of the world would see us. They'd be like, you don't have shit.
Yeah, okay. I don't know that it matters anymore.
I don't know if it matters either.
I mean,
are we getting?
Let's say we gave all the gold away. I mean, Doge right now is uncovering that we give all the fucking money away anyway, right? So it doesn't fucking matter.
No.
And we're not respected by the amount of money the government has. We already know Alphabet is worth more than the government, right?
Yeah.
We're respected because we have the most ships and the most planes and the most guns and the most tanks and the most
Strongest military.
yeah, we're the strongest military. Um, we're probably the most in debt, right? And aren't we just getting the debt from China? So
Yeah, it's a trade deficit.
yeah, right. So really, it doesn't matter how much fucking money we have.
Yeah,
right. It's can we push everybody else around because we have the biggest military? That's where the respect comes from, and we're just taking the government is taking taxpayer money and giving it to everybody else. That's what's really going on.
That's what's happening.
So who gives a shit if there's gold in there or not?
Yeah,
right. We're not getting any gold as taxpayers. I don't think any other country really gives a shit about if we have gold or not. We got credit and we're using it. We're fucking spending that credit like crazy.
So that just makes us a slave to ourselves.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right. So if you're take the gold away, like don't
Right.
even talk about that.
Right.
Just be like, okay, you're just making us work to pay our taxes.
Sure.
And then our taxes go to things that we wouldn't necessarily otherwise support.
Approve, right? Yeah.
Right? If it's never been a vote, then you're just like, okay, you're supposed to just trust your elected officials to make these things,
which we obviously can't.
Pay for these wars, pay for everything, and it's like, okay, so our own leaders look at us as fucking ants.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%.
We're just fucking okay. You go work so that we can fucking play puppeteer, puppet master.
We're their bank account
for the rest of the world.
Yeah. We're 100% their bank account. How is it that IRS Sleepy Joe, approves 80,000 new IRS agents to come after us for more money?
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
Yeah.
What? How did this guy ever get into office? Like, well, come on.
Yeah.
Right?
We have some opinions on that too.
Yeah, for sure.
But back to Fort Knox. This is a post I found on Instagram, somebody that I follow. Communism survivor. I believe she's from Russia, but everyone's gonna have something to say about that. But anyways, Elon Musk X post says, "Who is confirming that gold wasn't stolen from Fort Knox? Maybe it's there, maybe it's not. That gold is owned by the American public. We want to know if it's still there." Next slide. Mike Lee, based Mike Lee on Instagram, or I think this is Instagram. As a U.S. Senator, I've tried repeatedly to get into Fort Knox. Fort Knox, you can't come to Fort Knox. The senator, me, why? Fort Knox, it's a military installation. Senator, I'm a senator. I go to bases all the time. Fort Knox, you still can't come because you can't. Elon Musk says it would be cool to do a live video walkthrough of Fort Knox. Next slide. Ian Yeager says Elon Musk suggests doing a live video walkthrough of Fort Knox to ensure that the gold is there. People across the country would be able to watch this live. That'd be interesting. I'd watch that. Next slide from Communism Survivor. Some interesting facts about Fort Knox and the U.S. gold reserves. According to the U.S. Mint, the U.S. holds a total of 276 million fine troy ounces, about 9,500 tons of gold, which is stored in various federal depositories. The U.S. government values this stash at a total of $11.7 billion. The official rate is 42.222 per fine troy ounce, while the market value is roughly 900 billion.
There you go.
So that's what you were saying. Mm-hmm. Okay, so then the U.S. Mint police are responsible for protecting the gold reserve, which serves as a financial safety net against economic instability. It stores real, tangible value and also helps to hedge against inflation, with the intention of being to maintain public confidence in the nation's currency, despite the gold standard no longer being the baseline for economic operation. Next slide. The U.S. Bullion Depository in Fort Knox, Kentucky, holds 147.3 million troy ounces, over 5,000 tons of gold worth about $435 billion, which is about 59% of the Treasury's total supply. No visitors are permitted in the facility. Fort Knox gold reserves have not been audited for 50 plus years. The last audit was in September of 1974 when several congressional representatives received a tour of the facility. It wasn't an official inspection and assured the American public that the supply remained intact. This was the first visit allowed to non authorized personnel for over 40 years before that. Despite the Treasury Department issuing monthly reports on the national gold reserves, doubts persist. Whistleblowers and conspiracy theorists have speculated that the gold is missing for decades, but there hasn't been a comprehensive audit since the 1950s.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 75 years or 70 plus years, right?
Mm-hmm.
A comprehensive audit, however, would present its own challenges. We could discover how much of the gold is leased, i.e., given to borrowers in exchange for fees. This is a way to inject more gold into the banking system than actually exists in physical form.
Mm.
However, this may open a can of worms. According to the sources, that only a few experts understand and the government doesn't want to acknowledge that there are variations in the purity and dimensions of the gold and or that there is a smaller stockpile than previously thought, which would significantly affect global gold prices. From geopolitical point of view, such news would cause much hilarity in Moscow and Beijing and fit perfectly well with Doge's narrative of corruption and lies, according to Adrian Ash, the director of research at Bullion Vault. That this would be a monumental, complex, and expensive tax which could take several years to complete. It would involve hundreds of experts to handle the volume of gold bars efficiently. The process would involve not just counting the bars, but also verifying their weight, purity, and historical variations in specifications and ticking these off against official records.
Mm-hmm.
That a full audit could cause disruptions to the gold market due to the large amount of gold that would need to be temporarily removed from circulation for examination. Do you think we should comprehensively audit the U.S. gold reserves? So, yeah, those are all very interesting questions and thoughts about that.
Right.
But I still think, yeah, I do think we should have an audit of it. I don't know if that's going to affect me one way or the other, anyways.
Another thing, like you talked about Moscow and China in there. If we go into Fort Knox and find out there's nothing in there, how does that make China and Russia look at us?
That's what I was saying earlier. Like, that will be, they use the word hilarity
Right.
to them, you know? They were going to be laughing their asses off at us.
But will they stop? Like, is China going to stop lending us money?
I don't know. Do you think that they have a similar gold reserve? Do you think Putin has that?
I don't think China will ever stop because of one simple fact. Americans buy the most Chinese products out of anything.
Yeah, we're their cash cow.
We are their cash cow. That's also why China's never come into war with America, right? They're going to, why would you kill your customers?
Yeah.
Nobody's doing that.
Yeah.
Right? So, no matter what China and Russia got going on, China's also probably never going to allow anybody to come to war against the U.S. as well. They're not going to let anybody kill their cash cow either, right? So I don't know that having gold in Fort Knox really matters at all, but I don't know enough about it, right? I know that we're not going to go out there and sell gold bars to make up the deficit, right? So what is the gold actually good for?
Yeah, if it's
just sitting there,
paperweight.
Yeah, whether it's sitting there or whether it's not sitting there, what is it actually good for?
Yeah,
I don't know that it's good for anything. Maybe we're wasting money on Fort Knox, and that's what Doge is going to go in and find out. Cut Fort Knox out of it too.
We're like, we don't need you people.
Yeah, we don't need you, and this is more government spending that we don't need to do.
Yeah.
So
it could be a facade. It
Yeah.
could just be. I mean, I'm not saying that it is. I don't know. It could be there. Could be not. Could be different. Could be. Who knows?
Who knows?
Um, you know, we talk about a lot of different things, and we'll continue talking about a lot of different things, and we'll just have to see how this plays out.
Yeah.
You know, because if Trump and Musk want to do it, they're going to do it. You know,
Yeah, they're
they'll
gonna
find
do
a way
it.
to do it.
Yeah. No matter all these, you hear about these courts now that are blocking Musk from, like, today came out going against the Department of Education and their records. Like, they're gonna find a way.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter. It's Trump and Elon, right? They're gonna find a way. So, I don't know. I think the biggest effect that these guys are having is stopping continued fraudulent spending and wasteful spending, right? That we don't need to be spending on. But I don't know that finding gold in Fort Knox is going to do a damn thing.
yeah. I don't know either. I think
That might just be a waste of time.
it might be.
Just write it off as if there's nothing there and move on with your life and go find other wasteful spending. But the reality is that audit, just like it talked about, would be insanity. Like 100 people sitting there counting gold bars and making sure they're actual gold bars would be a waste of time and take a long fucking time. If it, who knows, right? Why would you even do it? I think you go in, you take a picture or live stream it, and then say yes or no, and then move on with their lives. Oh, look, they lied to us again, or some shit like that. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But I don't really see the benefit of it.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't either. But I think all these things, whatever side of politics you're on, I feel like it's all a distraction. I feel like there's so many um, topics that
Or more pressing.
are so, it's like I don't know. I just think our whole system is so twisted,
It's
and
Big Ten
for
twisted.
us to not be a community and say, "Hey, I really care that your daughter is being groomed by her teacher."
That's what we should be focusing on. That
You
kind of
know,
stuff.
I really hated that our our youth are have been targeted to be trans and start cutting off body parts. I really think that it sucks that um, the Biden administration just opened the gates to our border and said, "Come on in."
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they were thinking they're getting more voters. Maybe they were thinking that it's going to help the workforce. I don't know.
I don't know.
But I do know that in this administration, they're trying to get rid of those people because it's put a strain. Even Democratic governments like New York have said, stop the flood of people. We cannot handle this.
Yeah.
And so now,
You've sent all these people in. Now I have to pay for it. The governor, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it the governor of New
Yeah.
York? Now I have to pay to house them. I have to pay to feed them. I have to pay. Then where do I get the money from?
Well, and then
We
weeks
ran out of money.
later, they're suing the Trump administration for $80 million that they didn't want to pay the city of New York to house illegal migrants. It's like, okay, but they shouldn't have been here to begin with.
Yeah, well, we needed the votes. Or whatever it is, right? Who knows?
Just don't understand how, like, if it's a humanitarian issue for people, okay, I get that. If I was living in Venezuela or something like that, I would try to probably get to a better place.
Or maybe you should try and fix Venezuela from the inside out.
That's another option. That's maybe even a better option.
It is.
Like, okay,
it's your country.
Yeah.
Fix it.
Yeah.
So you want to live there.
Fix it. And I mean, that might be a bigger proposition than trying to figure out how to get your ass to America.
Because we can't take everybody, right?
Yeah.
We can't. I was reading. I don't know if I was. No, I think I was listening to Rogan today about what's going on with with Bobby and the health and food and all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
The reality is we don't have more organic food because we don't produce enough food now, right? So you think about like the state of New York, or let's just say the city of New York, Manhattan Island. 2 million people come on and off the island on a daily basis, right? To come to work. How many apples do you think grow in Manhattan?
0.
There is no food being produced anywhere even close
0.
to around
The
there.
answer is 0.
Right?
Unless somebody has some type of vegetable garden on their patio.
Yeah, which is feeding maybe one person for one meal. Like we don't produce enough food in these major metropolitan areas, and everybody should have a fucking garden in their backyard.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be putting it on all these farmers, and these poor farmers, like you just hear about bad thing after bad thing after bad thing happening to these poor farmers.
How many farmers farms were set on fire in the last 4 years?
Like some crazy amounts, right?
I don't know the number, but it was a lot. I felt like I was hearing about it
all the time.
And then right before Biden left office, he killed 100 million chickens, which,
right.
You know, if they actually did have bird flu, you had to. There's no way around it.
For sure.
But did they all?
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Will we ever know? Probably not.
But what if we get to a point where we fucked over the farmers so much, they all just decide to say, we're not growing food anymore.
Yeah, then we all starve to death, and we're a third world country.
I mean, what do they say? You're 3 days away from anarchy.
Yeah,
with no or three meals away from anarchy.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, like you get hungry enough, there's a lot of shit you would maybe not otherwise do.
Right. So, and I listened on the Rogan show. I think it was Woody Harrelson.
What's up?
Yeah. And they're talking about regenerative farming,
mm-hmm.
and how good it is, right? And how compared to like these companies that are just milling out food, and the regenerative farms are not subsidized like the mills, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're promoting shitty food.
But also, Bill Gates is really going to save the day because
he bought all the farmland.
He can lab grow meat,
and then we'll all eat cockroaches
or 3D print it
and mealworms.
Yeah, I mean that's really
that'll
the
be
fix to all of it, right?
Good stuff. No,
fix you need to deregulate the farming.
Yeah, the fix is we all need to have a couple of chickens and a greenhouse in our backyard so we can help and feed ourselves and have something going on, right?
The first thing I did at the house I live in now was build 3 pretty large, substantial planter boxes above ground.
Yeah.
So that we could grow all of our fruits and vegetables for the winter. And then we freeze dry them and not freeze dry, but freeze them, put them in bags and freeze them. And then we use them throughout the winter time.
Right.
And, it's something that, and I mean, if you're not a farmer, you don't have a green thumb, whatever, that's fine. But you can't just be like of the mindset, oh, well, our food comes from the grocery store. No, it doesn't. It comes from a farm. It comes from a ranch. It comes from China. It comes from
Mexico.
Right? It comes from the ground. It comes from
somebody has to grow it.
Somebody has to grow it.
Somebody has to raise it. Yeah. Meat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
if
diet
we all did a little bit, just a little bit, right?
I want to do we have 3 parks in my neighborhood.
Turn those into community gardens. I want to
make them gardens.
That would be awesome.
Dude. Then, there's like a circle, 3 circles, right? So, and there's a park in each one.
Right.
If you just designated like 100 square feet
right.
of that,
right,
and like each person could help and grow, and if it's not working out, if you're not contributing, but all you're doing is taking, then that's going to get into a thing too. But like,
The reality is, though, you wouldn't even have to force people to work those gardens. There are people that would sign up that would want to do it.
Yeah.
There are good, kind-hearted people that
Yeah.
would just want to go, and they wouldn't care about feeding the rest of the neighbors.
Yeah.
Right? They wouldn't.
Yeah, that would be handing it out. Oh,
Yeah.
do you need tomatoes?
Yeah.
Look, we got some beautiful ones ready for you.
Right? Or even better, instead of driving to the grocery store, just pay 50 cents to that fucking garden to buy that tomato.
Yeah, if you don't have time to help work the garden,
Sure.
just like
you're already buying it from the grocery
money.
store.
Well, that buys the heirloom seeds for next year.
Sure,
you
right?
know, or whatever.
Whatever.
Watering goes towards watering,
more
goes towards whatever.
Infrastructure to make the garden better, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Right? Fuck, did we just solve world hunger? I think we did.
I mean, that's not that hard.
It's not. And it seems just so fucking logical to me. I don't know why. Right?
It does to me too. But, and you know, I'm going to bring that up to my HOA, and there's going to be like, you can't take away from our parks. Like,
come on. How many parks do you see that nobody fucking uses?
I've seen one kid ever since I've lived at my house play at one of the 3 parks.
Or they'll take their dogs and go walk their dogs at the park, which is great. But that doesn't mean there can't be a garden there.
No, you don't take away from the park.
No.
You just take out 100 square feet of the grass. You don't even have to take the grass out. Just build it on top of it.
There you go.
Like, we actually went to this place in Broomfield, and, you know, for our Colorado listeners, like, there's this thing where they have a trash thing. And so me and my lady went to Broomfield on their trash thing. We got all wood from, like, decks that were torn down or whatever. I don't even know where it was, but we got all the wood for free. We just had to go find it and pick it out of the trash pile. And then when that time is up, the city comes and takes the rest.
Gotcha.
But you get an email, you know the window, you go, you look for whatever you need. Sometimes you're gonna find stuff, sometimes you're not. And then you just you're reusing materials that are otherwise gonna go to a landfill. We went to our nearest dirt place, got some dirt, put it in there, and we made, you know, for less than $100, we have all the fruits and vegetables that we need for the winter.
The problem is we're turning into a lazy fucking society.
So lazy.
That's really 100 years ago. This wouldn't even be a chat.
Oh no!
No,
like,
right?
What are you talking about? This is our normal everyday life.
Like, get the fuck off social media, right? Put the goddamn phone down.
Yeah.
Quit playing video games.
Yeah.
And let's do something. Right? This is just, we've gotten so lazy. It's
so lazy,
ridiculous.
So entitled. So like people get mad over the dumbest shit. It's like, dude, okay. I think most people want a happy, healthy life, right? Unless you're just lazy and you want to fucking eat McDonald's all the time. Whatever. I don't know. There's those people too. But to get out of that mindset doesn't take that much. Like, it's like, okay, I'm eating a salad, or I'm, you know, eating zucchini with my steak, or whatever it is, right?
Whatever it is.
Like, it's not that hard. It's not that hard.
No. It's sad where we're at today. And I hate to say it, but a lot of this is because of technology, right? I would hope that the best thing that could come from AI and AI robots is they grow us our fucking food. That would be great.
That would be cool.
Right? That would be great. I've seen some of these companies pop up too, where they'll take like a container. You know how they sell the containers on the back of the trucks, right?
Mm-hmm.
That are unused anymore. They'll take a container, they clean it out, and they build farms inside of the containers from multi-level, like they grow asparagus and thyme and whatever else.
With hydroponic lights and all that.
Right?
Yeah.
And you buy a container and buy the entire setup, and you just pop that container down in your backyard and do it yourself. And that would be amazing if we could have AI just go into all those containers and robots and grow us all the food. There's even automated systems that do it all for you, right? You just got to go collect the vegetables, because I I remember back in the day seeing somebody back when I used to be a lot into weed, right? Somebody started a company that it would you plop the fucking seed in there and then close the door and then come back 3 months later and clip the bud. And the system did it all for you. All for you. There's got to be a way to have that happen for on
I
mass
think that's an
scale.
amazing idea. I feel like there's I feel like the people in charge of AI have dollar signs in their
Oh,
eyeballs.
for sure.
And I feel like
It's
that's
Google.
never gonna happen.
It's Google. Their alphabet. They have dollar
It seems
signs
like
for days.
that's the most logical. Like, hey, make our lives healthier, happier. You want to go be a pottery maker or knit freaking sweaters for people, whatever. Like, do your thing, and like at least take care of the food aspect.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying that I even need that because I am a
Sure.
like, I built my thing.
Sure, sure.
I'm good.
Right. I got a greenhouse hat back too.
Yeah.
And chickens. Yeah.
I'm good.
Right.
But I'm not saying I'm good for everything. I don't know how to do everything.
Right.
Like I can't have a cow in my backyard.
Plus, there's time constraints. Right. There are definitely time constraints. You work an 8-hour shift, and then you got a family, and you want to do stuff other than just go out into your garden. I understand that for sure. That's why we should just have AI robots do it for us.
Wouldn't that be so cool if they took put that energy into actually making our lives better instead of a fucking slave to this?
Right. I feel like have you ever seen the movie WALL-E?
Yeah.
I feel like we're moving to WALL-E.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Instead of a healthy, like we're all going to be fat and never leave a seat and live in VR and just,
that's the world that I have nightmares about.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like an existence to me at all.
That I would want to be part of. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Well, we've covered a lot.
Yeah.
There's definitely more that we could talk about, but let's save it for next week.
Yep. We'll wrap it up.
So, crazy stuff, man. I think that'll be good for us to kind of at least spend a little bit of time on our local problems.
Yeah.
And our local things.
Talk about some Colorado stuff.
We're not going to find everything, but definitely bring to light some of the things that we notice about our beautiful state. I love it here. This is where I've always lived. It's where I always want to live. And I think that, there's ways to make it better. And it has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with our opinions on all these topics. It's really just like at the end of the day, I think it would be really fucking cool if AI had some resources that went to feeding us healthy food. I think that's a really good thing.
That would be a great idea.
Yeah.
That would be a great idea.
Yeah. So cool. Well, let's wrap it up.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for coming. Thanks for your time watching the show. Please like, share, and subscribe. Leave your comments. We'd love to see your comments as well. And whether they're positive or negative comments, we want to hear from you guys. So thanks everybody for coming, and see you next time.